All right. So today we are going on another Argentinian adventure. This time, though, instead of well, actually, the last time it wasn't too bad, but this time we actually went with much more highly rated Argentinian wines. And also this time around, we actually do have a Torrontes instead of the Chardonnay that we had last time. So, and Torrontes is, kind of what I was really hoping for in a return to Argentina. Now, usually, so the first one we'll be tasting tonight is the Torrontes, and for most of us, it is the Susana Balbo Crios Torrontes. Whoop, 2020. Now, this one, so a lot of the Torrontes, actually, let me share my screen. You can kind of give you a little bit of a visual on it.
That looks wonderful, sir.
And then give me a thumbs up if you see it. All right. So as you can kind of see here, I mean, most of your Argentinian wine is going to come from the Mendoza region. And that's especially all the Malbec.
It's egg.
But Torrontes. All right, I'm going to mute the chatters. Sorry, Team Foodie. Anyways, Mendoza is where all of your Malbec usually comes from. Well, and also your Bonarda. And typically, where you find all of the Torrontes come from is way up top in Salta. Now, the Torrontes that we have here they say it's right up against the Andes Mountains, but it's in Mendoza. And so I think it's going to be a lot more fruity, and because it has a lot more sunlight, and it's at a lower elevation than like the really high altitude that you're going to find in Salta. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show you where in regards they should be coming from. But yeah, just if you see Salta, or Torrontes, more than likely it's going to come from Salta. And a couple of you that have different Torrontes than we do, you might want to check and see if it's actually from, it says Mendoza or if it says Salta. But on that note, let's go ahead and give it a pour. And as usual, we'll kind of go through our sight, smell, then taste. And here, as we're looking at this is a pretty light straw, almost has like a few green characteristics in it.
It does. Mm-hmm.
And we'll give it a bit of a spin just to kind of see.
Spin.
Yeah, so kind of, yeah, just give it a little bit of a swirl so that you can kind of see how it's pulling down. Now, the ones from Salta, because of them being in that higher elevation, they don't mature nearly as much. And so with the maturity comes more sugar, which then leads to less alcohol. But the ones from Mendoza, as you would probably guess, well, it's a warmer area, so they're going to mature faster. And because of that, it's probably going to have a bit more alcohol, because what you're looking for is the legs, these little tears that are pulling down from the sides. And these are, I don't want to say somewhat thick, especially for a white. And so, I mean, I'd be looking at knowing that it's New World white anyway, so it's still going to be pretty high alcohol. So this is going to be like a 12.5 to 13.5. And let's see. Right in the middle, 13. All right, so now let's go ahead and give it another swirl, and then we'll stick our beaks in it and see what we smell. What are people catching?
Green apple.
Green apple. Okay.
I mean, we have a different one than you do, but
Now, it again is yours from Mendoza or Salta?
it is Mendoza.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little citrus. A little citrus.
Citrus.
Yeah, a lot of citrus on ours.
Do you know what kind of citrus you're catching?
I'm catching lemon. Joyce says lemon.
Yeah, I was gonna say lemon too.
Okay. Like this one from Susana Balbo. I don't know, to me it smells kind of grapefruity, but also like tropical, almost like lychee.
Mm.
Anyone else catching any different notes on the nose? So I mean, because I've heard apple out there. I've heard, one of the other ones that, does anyone smell any kind of like stone fruit, like peaches, nectarines?
Yeah, we got it hot like right away.
What's that?
We got stone fruit like right away.
Okay.
Hot, maybe like tangerine, clementine.
A little bit of honey.
Mhm.
All right. So let's go ahead and give it our first taste of the night. So cheers.
Well, we love it. So good. Mm. Good with salad.
We should play music.
And they were saying that like the Mendoza Torrontes was kind of inferior, but I mean, especially for a 92 point Torrontes, this is pretty tasty. And it doesn't have that, because I was hearing about bad Torrontes where it has kind of like a bitter and almost like a petrol or gasoline smell to it. So this is fairly well balanced.
Yeah, ours is a little on the tart end.
Okay.
I mean, not terrible, but pretty tart of wines. But I know we don't have the same one as you do. So what we said was we're going to be excited to hear what everybody loves, and then we can order it when we get back home.
I'd say it has a good acidity.
Mm-hmm. Does it have a, now does it taste like what you were smelling? Because I think you had mentioned the green apple.
Yeah, I mean, it like Granny Smith, kind of tarty like that.
My experience in the past with Torrontes is that sometimes the smell and the taste can be not quite what you were smelling. This I'm not getting that as much of a difference. Tastes a little bit. It tastes citrus.
Yeah, this the lychee that I was smelling really starts to go more towards the grapefruit. It's almost like yeah, it's like a ruby red grapefruit. All right, now for the actual what I kind of find is my favorite part is, well, let's find out what actually pairs with this. I'm excited to try my yucca fritas with some jalapeno ranch.
Smoked Gouda is going quite well. We have some smoked Gouda here, and we're kind of liking that.
Yeah, is it?
Gouda?
What's it bringing out? Or is it just that it's kind of toning down the acidity?
A little bit of that. It's making it a little creamier.
Okay.
You give me some cheddar too? Okay, good. Because it tastes like cheddar.
We have kind of a sharp cheddar, and I'd say it makes it a little sweeter.
Wow. I'd say a lot sweeter.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I have a dried chorizo that's cutting the acidity a little bit, the creaminess, and it's very good. It's a very nice combination.
We have a garlic herb goat cheese. It's really good with it.
Mm.
Is it bringing out the like green because like this jalapeno ranch with the yucca fritas?
Well,
All of a sudden all I'm getting is like green vegetable.
I have no idea.
Softens it, and yeah, I guess it would be a little more vegetable.
Manchego.
It's not that hard acid that you get with some of the other stuff. It's just kind of like gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just, I mean,
This is like
this wine is like a perfect like summer sipper.
It's not, it's caramel, shortbread and dulce de leche, which is very much like caramel. In 2012 in to Ushuaia in Tierra del Fuego on our way to Antarctica, we had a crab feast and Torrontes, and we drank 2 bottles. So I don't have any seafood here today, but
Oh yeah, crab in this would be wonderful.
it was fabulous.
Yeah, a little bit of garlic butter.
Oh, I have crab parmesan with garlic and tomatoes and crab.
I have green olives also on my plate. That's a really nice combination. I'm a little bit surprised. I had a strawberry too, and that didn't quite go as well. So I was like, all right, let's try the olives. And that's a good combo with the salt.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that little bit of brininess, because salt's another thing that will kind of cancel out acidity.
Okay, it goes really well with the dulce de leche cookie thing.
Okay, it's settled. You have to pack up at least 3 of those and mail them to me.
Will do. Just message me your address.
Wow.
Okay, I mean, so especially after the last 2 to 3 months. I mean, this is already starting off like excellent.
But they don't.
Yeah, what did we do? Like Trader Joe?
We didn't stop in Trader Joe's.
Premium, where really we were just getting
Like
60% alcohol.
Salsa, and we stayed 2 nights in Salta. We went to a.
Now we have learned that at Trader Joe's you get what you pay for.
And then there was the whole.
What was the one after that? I'm trying to remember. We did one of those, but it was like, I don't know. Maybe it's been a really long time.
Because the last one we did, well, one right before this.
Oh, it's grocery store. We did that one. The grocery store wines.
Okay, well, I mean, we kind of followed that up, this last one 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Which I kind of renamed from grocery store wines to just soccer mom wine.
Soccer mom, that's right.
I did something to cook the other day and it was not horrible. What did I make?
All right, how's everyone's glasses looking? Okay, I see a little bit, but I'll give everyone another 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the next.
We tried it with goat cheese and liking it.
Is it bringing out a little bit of the grassiness?
Really go well.
Thank you. I'm not. It's the goat cheese it can be intense, have a lot of flavor, and the wine is standing up to it. That's kind of good.
That's always great. You definitely want your wine and your food to just be able to no one's winning.
You want them to fight back.
Mm-hmm.
The brie was the best for me. We had a nice brie.
But ours is really young. We have a 2021. I don't know if everybody's has a really young.
It's a 20.
Yeah, so I have a 2020.
Yeah, so ours is just a year old.
Yeah, and I mean the Argentinian whites, they're meant to be drunk within like 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
So I mean, if you have like a 2014, well, it's probably not. You're probably not experiencing quite the same that we are.
Probably been sitting in someone's basement for a while, and
yeah, it's probably it's got like a tinge of brown to it. are going to move on to the Bonarda.
All
So-
right.
So we have the El Enemigo 2017 Bonarda. Now, they do have a saying in Argentina, which is we send the rest of the world our Malbec, but we keep our Bonarda. And so that, I mean, once I heard that saying, it was a quest for me to find every ounce of Bonarda I could and try it. But yeah, let's go ahead and give this thing a pour. I mean, that's looking pretty dark. So we're kind of looking there. I mean, this is definitely got like no rim variation whatsoever. Even
Sorry, which one are we on? I had to step away for a
Oh,
second.
it's the Bonarda.
Okay, thanks.
But even for a 2017, I am not seeing much in the way of a rim variation. It's there.
Is
It's
that blue thing around the edge?
yeah. It's that little bit right around the rim that should be like if it was starting to show aging, it would start to have like a bit of like an orange or brownish tinge to it. But this, I mean, it's a little bit lighter, but there's not much variation from like that kind of.
So it's the right
I wouldn't say quite purple, but that's a kind of a deep ruby.
Yeah, I was gonna say ours is kind of cherry ruby
Yeah.
color.
All right, and then we'll go ahead and swirl and watch. And the legs on this are
Like 13.
yeah. I'd say that this is I mean they're still kind of narrow. So I mean I would probably maybe put this at like 13.5, 14.
It's real soft.
But
so
not
if you
anything more than
press
that?
on it, it'll break.
So I'm hoping that I'm
Right.
oh yeah 13.5.
Ours is 14.
Okay.
I'll get my own in a second.
All right. So let's go ahead and give this thing a swirl and then a sniff.
Hmm.
All right. What are people getting on the nose here?
Smoke.
Smoke.
Yeah.
I'm getting a cherry.
And not like cigar smoke, but just smoke.
Like a campfire.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, is this the one that you had different? The Bonarda was different?
Yeah, we've got Cruise, Alta, and it's a reserve.
Okay.
Oh, I think we have the same one.
That's what I was gonna
Ah.
say. When you guys were just saying it was aged in French and whatever, I was like, yes, I think you have the same one.
So that's the,
And I think I get a little cigar
yeah,
smoke.
yeah, it's the exact same one.
Smoke?
Smoke. Okay. That's interesting because I mean, I'm kind of with Sarah where I'm getting a lot of just like kind of red fruit. I can't really place if it's cherry or like a raspberry, but
Well, Richard, it was aged in French and American oak, so it makes sense that there might be a little bit more smoke from the American oak.
yeah.
It
Well,
also depends on how charred the barrels were.
yep. If it was light toast, or toast plus.
Right.
Richard, the one you suggested has like a Cabernet Franc blended in, right?
Yeah, it does.
How does that affect
I
what you're
mean,
smelling?
so I mean, well, Cab Franc, you'd be expecting like a little bit of almost like violets or depending on how ripe the Cab Franc is, a little bit of like green bell pepper.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm not spelling much of that. If and it all really depends on how much. I mean, if it's like 10-15%, I mean it kind of rounds things out, gives it a little bit more character. But I mean, for the most part, like I said, I'm just getting just really fruity with like a little bit of like almost like a baker's chocolate on the end.
Yeah, I get a hint of chocolate on it.
All right. Well, let's give this thing a taste.
Mario.
Cheers.
We have chocolate right up front.
Doesn't have like a lot to it. It's very smooth, like not the bite that I was expecting.
No,
Nah.
agreed, Corey. We were both kind of like, I mean, it's good. It's just we didn't get a whole lot of anything. I mean, not
It's
bad.
like game.
I'm not getting much on the back of the palate.
No,
Okay,
Right, agreed.
middle.
but that's I mean, you know, I'm actually kind of curious to see, you know, where the, you know, what the kind of differences is between your guys's Bonarda versus the one that we have.
Yeah.
Because really that's why I love going to, you know, different wine regions, is because you start to gain, and it's kind of with this where everybody's, you know, got different you know, different winemakers, is you start to tell what is the grape, like from the grape and the region versus what's the art of the winemaker.
Right.
Yeah. It's got a lot of minerality in it.
I see the bottle.
Yeah, and this one doesn't really have minerality. I mean, it's mostly, I mean, to me, I'm getting like a lot of dark fruit, like plum.
So tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I think plums.
Guys, I was looking for
The same one, right?
fruit and it's real subtle.
And almost
And where did you find the red?
like the thing on the finish almost tastes like cola. Like I've been drinking a Coke.
The only one I didn't get at Total Wine, they had it, but the wrong year. Devmo had it right there for the Malbec.
Okay.
Anyone else get anything other than dark fruit, or I'm trying to remember what everyone else was catching on this.
Cherry.
Little cherry.
Little cherry. All right. Well, let's move on to the pairing.
Are we going to pair with food? Or
Yes.
people have? Okay.
So, you know, for Kendra, if you've got that dark chocolate, this is when you start bringing it out.
Okay.
Barbara, can you help me get the cheese?
I forgot I have dark chocolate covered almonds too. Those are going into the mix.
Oh, yeah.
I'm skipping everything savory on my plate to go for the almonds. So.
And did you want this?
The almond tester.
So I get more fruit when I mix it with the Gouda.
Okay. Which kind of fruit? The red fruit or black fruit?
Red fruit. Kind of cassis.
You can mix with the olive.
Dark chocolate is a great combo.
Well, I can say it didn't really the ground beef empanada did not stand up to this. This is definitely, you know, more of a, I won't say heavyweight, but this is you know, definitely a middleweight going up against, like, almost feels like a featherweight.
Pretty good with the cookie. Those cookies are pretty miraculous.
Cookies?
I'm not getting one of those. Because it sounds like you're going to run out of them by the time at the end of this.
No, we're just taking a little nibble.
Yeah,
We're
no,
gonna save you some.
I'm still on my first one.
Uh-huh.
It's better with- To me, I try.
I fear for my cookies.
I can't send them to you unless I have an address. That's all I gotta say.
Well, yeah, that too.
Oh yeah, and the licorice is pretty good. Licorice is pretty good.
We
But
tried it with salami and it seemed to fade.
It makes it, it's really good with the cookie. I don't know how to.
Yeah, I just had it with the chorizo and it kind of they
Chorizo.
canceled each other out, I guess, a little bit, which is
Thank
not
you.
necessarily what I'm going for.
I'll like,
So I think it was going better with the cheese.
It's kind of a buttery after.
Yeah, my Gouda is not smoked, but still
Yeah.
still a nice combo.
Yeah, I can get that.
yeah, it's
I don't like that.
So did you cut the olives yourself or did you use it? I cut out
Tried the
them.
milder cheese.
Oh, wow. Labor of love.
Munster.
Okay, so it went better with the one was called hamburger, which was just like their seasoned ground beef with cheese, but then they had the El Capitan, which has like boiled egg, was it green olive and raisin, and wow, that whole kind of flavor combination with this is that's starting to rock my socks.
What's interesting, I think it's the raisin picks up on the fruit and then it kind of ties it all together.
Yep, that's what I was kind of hoping for. That's why when I saw the ingredients, I was like, ooh, raisin is kind of like cheat, in terms of pairing, because you're having grape with something grape. You're bound to get some flavor, matches right there.
I was gonna say, they say what grows together, but what comes from something else, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I said, the best meat dish that you can have is if you braise the meat in the wine that you're going to be drinking, because then the meat's going to have exactly the same flavors, just with added fat.
Yeah.
Doesn't have strong legs either.
It worked pretty well.
I think the white actually has bigger legs.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
That was interesting.
Of course, I was seeing your score.
I never thought of a white having legs. Right.
No, I also have some slightly salty ham, and it seemed to stand up to that better than the sausage.
Okay.
I tried. You tried the sausage. Try it.
I did. I just had it.
Did you agree?
Because you don't have the fat coating because it's lean.
Yeah, it's a lean ham. Yeah, so it's standing up to leaner meat and not so much to fatty meat. Probably, maybe it just doesn't have as much tannin.
Yeah, not as much tannin. I'd also say just the acid, which tannin kind of masks acid, but I mean the acid will still be there. It's just that whenever you have like salt or fat, it's gonna kind of tamp that down. But it sounds like this. I mean, it was already pretty smooth, and so I would probably guess that while it's fairly tannic, its acid is pretty low. And acid would be something that's much fattier or much saltier is really going to all of a sudden make kind of come to the forefront.
Let's try it with green pepper and see what we get.
I'd be curious about it. Because with the El Enemigo, Amigo,
so they say Sandy,
because it has that little bit of Cab Franc to it, you would kind of think that it would those kind of green notes would come to the forefront. But Bonarda itself doesn't really have
yourself there.
any green.
Oh, hi.
So I would actually probably if you've still got some of those green bell pepper, wait for the actual Malbec.
we've got lots of green pepper.
I'm hoping that it's going to go better with it. But speaking of that, well, let's move on to what got me into Argentinian wines in the first place, which is the Tikal Patriota, which is
This is the blend.
Yep.
So this is a 40% Malbec, 60% Bonarda blend.
So we have a Malbec Cab Franc blend.
Okay.
Ooh. I need to add a little more Bonarda because I don't, I
think this was the one where I cracked the cork a little bit, unscrewing it. So, oops, little extra fiber in my diet.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've suggested on a few calls now where I'll actually, if you hold on a moment, I'll go get one to showcase.
This is the amateur blend.
How precisely did y'all measure that amateur blend?
Thought of green pepper with wine.
Yeah, what was your blend? Oh, you guys are doing the mix. That's right.
Yeah, we didn't have to do the mix because we didn't find a blend of Malbec and Bonarda.
Yep.
Okay, so what I have here is the Maripol 2-prong cork puller.
Oh, I was hunting for one. I had a bunch of
And
very old corks that had issues.
yes,
Oh, really?
and I pretty much replaced all of my corkscrews with these, even for new corks, because there's always going to be someone that skimped on buying like quality corks, and even if it's like a 2018 2019, that a regular corkscrew is just going to shred it.
Where can you find it? I've been through like 4 stores and they look at me like I'm a crazy woman.
I mean, I just buy them on Amazon, and there's other cheaper brands, but this Maripol from Germany is probably the best one out there. It will not fail you.
My problem is I stab myself with it.
The first
No,
person to use mine was Mike Yeager.
It's kind of neat where what it'll do is it kind of hugs the side of the cork, and then you kind of like rock it back and forth until it gets all the way down. And then it takes a little bit to, what you're doing is, for the most part, especially for the older ones, is as you twist, it's also breaking that seal that it might have between the cork and the bottle, which is the reason why most corks shred, is because it's kind of sealed up against that side. And so it breaks that. And then, once it's out a little bit, then you kind of grip onto the sides here, and you should be able to just pull the entire thing out. But yeah, especially for anything that's more than 6 years old, never use a corkscrew for. Use one of these.
My husband just put 2 cases of wine, mixed vintages, in the garage and didn't tell me years ago, and I found them after he passed. We're talking about 68 through 78, and the newest one was 81, and not stored properly.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are probably fairly cooked.
There were some drinkables. There was a lot of sink wine, but there was a lot of cork issues.
Yeah. Oh, where it started to leak.
No, it was cork issues as we couldn't get the cork out because it broke apart.
Yep.
But the Mondavi, the 81 Mondavi Reserve was amazing.
That held up to not being handled well.
Okay. Yeah, because when they say that like you're wanting to store it at like cellar temperature is like 58 to 60 degrees. That's like optimal temperature that you want to keep them at all the time. Anything more than that, and you're starting to kind of prematurely age them.
And if you just dump it in the back of your garage that has no heating and no cooling,
then
You
depends
lose a lot.
depends on where you live. Because like garage in Phoenix versus garage in Minnesota is way different.
garage in California is a little more neutral, but not enough.
Yeah, it's pretty hot in the summertime.
Because like I wouldn't trust a bottle like out in my garage like in March.
Well, no, now the garage has been redone and there is a wine refrigerator there.
All right, so let's go through our marks on the Patriota. So as I'm looking at as I'm looking at this, I mean, all of these are, well, so far, both the Bonarda and the Patriota are starting to have
And I
that
had a great
like
wine
dark
cellar.
ruby.
It was,
Yeah,
it was
I would say
all
cherry
year
fruit
round. It
for
was
us too.
very, in Massachusetts, it was perfect temperature. I didn't have to have one of these things.
Mhm.
My sister's basement in Portland.
Okay, as we kind of pull these down. Now these are a little bit thicker.
Then
So,
where she didn't be.
As I'm looking at these, I would probably put this at more like, I'd probably say this is more like 14, if not higher. But no, that's about 14. Let's see. And
Okay. Let me try
survey
that.
says 13.5. So, okay.
It's different.
I never had any spoiled wine whatsoever, but I didn't have a lot.
All right, so let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff.
I moved to an apartment.
So what are people smelling on this?
You know, senior independent.
I mean, Katrina, you guys have how's the Malbec and Cab Franc smell?
So this is, well, interesting. It's got a very, I mean, I can smell the high alcohol. So we have a 14.5
Wow.
and I could
Okay.
smell it. Like I was like, whoa, that's like if I hadn't figured it out from the legs, I'm like, yep, that's a higher alcohol wine.
Okay.
13.
Getting a similar smell on ours is
Yep. It was liquor.
like not a lot's coming through. I definitely smell the alcohol. Somewhat similar to the previous one where it has like a black fruit.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting
Well, I should propose
dark
to
fruit,
them
but I'm getting a lot of oak. Like
to have
it's going kind of going the gamut of oak, of like vanilla and chocolate.
I have a little vanilla on ours, but definitely no smoke. Not like the last one. The last one had
They love
smoke.
it.
Not at all.
Normal locker.
I like the leather better.
Oh, you're getting leather?
Yeah.
And cherry.
A little bit of berry. See if that, they have quite a few buildings that are.
And the black.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let's give this thing a taste and see if it matches what we're smelling. So
It tastes better than it smells.
I wonder if it tastes good with the cookie.
Let's try it with a cookie.
So mean. It was really good. I did do that one first.
you're getting a little ahead of the class there, Sarah. You need to have it by itself to tell us what we're
It
tasting on it
tastes
before.
like blackberry cobbler by itself. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm getting like jammy
Need something.
berry notes.
Bring it out.
Delicious.
We're amateur mixing.
Yeah. This thing's a lot more complex than what I was smelling.
Ours is flatter but tannic.
Which one?
Not the greatest combination. That's what I would say.
Yeah, don't taste much.
It's a very like safe wine.
Yeah.
It doesn't like push any corners at all.
Now, is anyone getting any like anise, like licorice from this?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, of course.
It was good with.
Because they're eating licorice.
We always have licorice.
I know you do.
We've got the licorice crew and we got the almond crew.
Yeah, no, I like, to me, I'm getting like it's not strong, but there is like an anise kind of flavor to this.
Can't identify.
I'll just be honest, I'm not agreeing with this international silver wine winner. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that you didn't have the Tikal Patriota.
I know. Well, that's one, again, we may end up, they were stumped. They were like, oh, we don't have anything like that. I was like, all right, well, let's just figure out what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go to, well, I found that like here in Phoenix, it was only at two stores, and I would have had to driven like 15 miles in order to get it, locally, which is why, again, it was great being able to order it online.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, a good wine friend of mine introduced me to call, especially Patriota, a while back, and every year. I still have a bottle from almost every year now, and it's just always just a great wine.
That's what we'll order.
So this wine is phenomenal with chimichurri. I'm a little bit ahead of the group, but oh my god, like it brings out the herb, like you like salivating mid bite kind of thing. It was great.
Really? Okay. So
Cook the eggs ahead of time.
so I still have some, you know, I made some homemade, well, I won't say homemade chimichurri, but it was like a spice mix that you just add
Oh, I
like
made homemade
oil and vinegar to.
Yep.
You get a nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think it's from like
was that so
Goya.
good?
Look how pretty.
Oh, you made like homemade chimichurri.
Yeah, no, I similar to what Sarah did.
Can't imagine eating this stuff out of the jar. Got to have the fresh parsley.
So now I can't wait to dive into some chimichurri now.
Why don't you try it with chimichurri? You try it with chimichurri.
You should try it with, yeah, try chimichurri is the ketchup of Argentina.
Sarah, did you cook potatoes as well?
No.
So like I found this out recently. Chimichurri and like oven baked potatoes, like potato slices, is phenomenal.
Yep.
Really?
Well, okay, good to know.
We'll try that tomorrow.
No, I can see that. That would be amazing.
Yeah, no, chimichurri, like I said, it's like the ketchup of Argentina. It goes with everything. You want to dip your bread in it, dip your bread in it. You want to put it on your salad, put it on your salad. Put it on your steak. It's great.
Oh, that is a heavenly pairing.
It's part of the thing.
Like that kind of like green parsley just all of a sudden just pops. I mean, I'm guessing it's also going to go very well with the Malbec, but the fact that this is, you know, only 40% Malbec and it's already, you know, making, you know, that just taste amazing. Oh yeah.
Basketball is happening. They're very excited about basketball.
Any other good pairings out there for with this?
In the living
Oh,
Well, the arugula wins, but the chimichurri is
More of the blend bar.
of course.
So Rosemary and crew, how's the how's your Frankenstein creation?
It goes well with the Gouda.
But it seems that everything goes well with the Gouda.
Fair enough.
Doesn't matter, it's still slow.
is all soccer for the whole
I gotta say, the chorizo for me is the one that's going with everything. So that's a nice surprise.
You like it?
Google says 3-1.
Now is it like real chorizo?
Yeah, it's dried chorizo. So I am in
okay.
Texas, and it took me probably a solid 25 years of my life before I realized there was a distinction between Mexican and Spanish chorizo. So
Yeah, well, Mexican chorizo has like 2 ingredients, or at least they list 2 ingredients, and that's 1, pig parts, and 2 spices.
yes,
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
but it's not cured, which is the specific distinction.
Yeah.
And that I had not been aware of. So but yes, this is cured.
I wonder what's different between like Spanish chorizo, like or that's dried chorizo, and linguiça, which I think is another kind of spicy Spanish sausage.
Yeah. It is, and I have no idea what the differences are.
It's like more Frankenstein.
Probably the spice mix, like sopressata versus pepperoni.
Right.
Yeah.
Similar, but not
Yes.
the same.
I was gonna say, to be honest, Sarah, I had no idea that you could get dried chorizo, even though I lived in Europe. So there you go.
Right? Chorizo.
I think I learned from an Australian cookbook. So
Of course.
So Sarah, as long as I just have like one Argentinian wine in like every single one of these pairings, you'll come to the rest of these.
it's a good chance. That's a distinct good draw.
Okay.
I mean, Malbec in particular is a is a favorite. So
Okay. Are you planning on being at the AG?
yes, I am.
Okay. So, well, then I'll have to entice you to the whatever event we're kind of shadowly do there.
I love the shadow events are always fun. So let me know.
Yeah, well, because last year was box wines.
I literally have a box of Malbec on my counter right now. So
Yeah, that's okay. Well, again,
box.
again, I know the cheese to catch the mouse.
Actually, we have.
Totally jumped ahead like I do.
So compared to the straight Bonarda, what's everyone's opinion on this comparatively, where you're having like a blend?
Better, much
Okay.
better.
a little bolder.
We have like,
Yummy.
we're a little bit mixed right now. A lot of the people here like the white over here. I personally like this one more than the white, but I think
we're not comparing it to the white. We're comparing it to the Bonarda so that we get to just kind of get it.
Bonarda hands down.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah, we didn't like this one, but
So yeah, so Malbec Cab Franc blend, not so much.
Malbec Cab Franc from Phoebus 2020. Not a winner.
All right.
Not we'll drink it at some point, but it'll be the second wine of the night.
I like this one better than the Bonarda,
Interesting. Very
but they
cool.
were both really good
I
with
do too.
chocolate covered cherries.
Oh, you know what? We need to try this with chocolate.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna go pick up some chocolate.
And I love that it's different for everybody, and that's the fun thing about wine. Really
Yeah.
is like
See,
people are like, oh, because everyone speaks up. I'm so glad you're like, no, actually, I like this one better because
yeah, like Corey and his crew, they like the Bonarda better than this one, and so that and
It's
again,
really very
that's why I wanted to get something with a mix between the two.
Yeah.
So that way, you kind of gauge, are you more team Bonarda or team Malbec?
Yep.
Hey, I have a quick question. What's the egg protein in the Bonarda?
Egg protein. So that's the albumin.
Okay, because there's a warning on the label that says there's egg protein in it.
Yeah. So there's two types of wine fining, which kind of takes out a lot of the particulates from wine, and that either comes from shellfish or it comes from egg. So egg white albumin and shellfish will kind of bind to those kind of like dead yeast and some of the tannins, and kind of drop those to the floor of whatever container they've got it all in. And so yeah, so it's just a matter of which one. I mean, I usually use chitosan, which is shellfish, and so yeah, on like bottles that I make, I'll usually put contains shellfish.
interesting.
Very interesting.
But yeah, there's always it's kind of interesting that and that's why most wines are not vegan or even vegetarian wine, because especially white wines, because those you definitely need to fine, even though most of those will also go through like a filter, but in order to just get rid of a lot of the junk that'll just kind of be floating around in the container, you definitely want to kind of bind that to something heavy that drops to the bottom, and then you just kind of take from the top. All right. So how's everyone? I know Rosemary and crew, you were trying it with some dark chocolate. How did that work out?
Very dark chocolate. The Frankenstein wine and dark chocolate went well.
I'm gonna go back and try the Bonarda with a little.
Well, that'll clue you in to whether or not it's the Bonarda or if it's
Or is
going
it
to be
the Malbec?
or if it's going to be the Malbec that's going to be what really brings that dark chocolate to the, as like a key player. Oh.
Going back to the Bernardo is making me feel better about the Franken wine.
Oh, okay.
Here's my interesting comment. 3 of the 4 were imported through Stamford, Connecticut, which I just think is fascinating.
Well, I mean, usually then it's like, well, some like a particular importer.
Yeah, it's Serenati Import, Stamford, Connecticut. I'm just thinking this wine has gone a long way before it arrived in Arizona.
Yeah, well, and that's usually the thing. If you start to find a lot of like imported wines that you like check who the importer is, because usually if all of a sudden you start to come across like a similar name, that's usually like an importer that you want to like watch or follow, because usually whoever is out there testing, and tasting like all these different wines probably has, a similar palate to what you have.
That's interesting.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
All right, so we are moving on to our last wine of the night. So we have, well, for those of you that are playing the home game, we have the 2018 Catena Malbec.
So we have 2019, but it's the same one.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
It is dark though.
Yeah.
Now, what is this wine?
This is the Malbec.
Yes, but.
So much darker color than the 2
the
before.
You had to go to bed. That's your wet wine glass.
yeah, this is starting to get into almost purple territory.
Right, but not quite.
No, it's just a dark. It's still a darker hue of ruby.
Yep.
It's just
Almost garnet, but not quite.
Yeah. All right, so we'll give this thing a bit of a swirl and watch the legs on this.
One from Bethmo. Yeah, that's what. Yes, Bethmo had the right color.
I don't know. These are still kind of pulling down. It almost seems like the percentage of the night is probably going to be somewhere around 13, 5, 14. Like we're not going to have any hot wines tonight.
Well, we had our 14.5, but it wasn't very good. So.
Yeah. and that's what apparently seems to be a bit from Argentina, is that the more alcoholic the wine, the less good that it actually is. Now, as much as the philosophy is, like booze me up, like if you're actually looking for flavor, you're probably looking at something a little bit less. And I'd probably say, let's see. Yeah, 13.5. So we've had now what? Every single wine has been 13.5.
No, 13 for the Torrontes.
Oh yeah, 13. Yeah.
We're not.
But yeah, considering that like if you have like California reds, I mean, you'd be lucky if it's 13.5. Like you start at 14 and then move up to possibly 16.5.
Right, same thing in Oregon. So I mean, that's just or Washington when I was tasting in Woodinville, but it's interesting.
All right, so let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff. What are we smelling on this one?
The barnyard earth goes away.
Black fruit.
Damien said minerality. I will say it's not as oaky as the Malbec that I fell in love with when I first started liking Malbec.
But some oak.
Some oak, but
Yeah, no, I mean,
Some fruit.
I'm not getting as much fruit.
No, it's, well,
I'm getting other flavors, but dark flavors, but not so much the fruit.
going back to J Lord and put your nose in it before you swirl.
Yeah,
swirl.
see, I'm getting a lot of plum, which is, you know, what you normally should be getting. But I'm not getting the kind of like black pepper that I would be expecting from a Malbec.
No, he got a little bit of tobacco.
I'm smelling like a little bit of vanilla on this too.
Yes,
Hint of
yeah,
vanilla.
I'm getting vanilla, but also like more baking spice, almost like cinnamon, and not chocolate, but almost like it's a little bit more astringent than chocolate, almost like coffee.
Okay, it's a whole lot more is going on in the mouth than is going on in the nose.
Well, someone's ahead of the class yet again.
We're all cheaters.
All
He
right.
just quietly cheated a long time ago.
All right. Well, I think we've gotten enough teasing. So let's go ahead and seal the deal. So cheers.
Mario.
It's one of those that the promise on the nose is not much, but what happens to the palate's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Heavy house.
And then once you have it on the palate and you go back to the nose looks better.
This has the best mouthfeel of anything we've tasted tonight.
Yeah,
Yes, agreed.
I'd call it a really round wine.
100% on the
Kind
mouth.
of feeling it
right.
all over the mouth,
Yes.
all over the palate.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like almost like a brand new petite Syrah, only without the sweetness.
Why don't you say a lever?
Yeah, it's pretty chewy, especially for, I mean, what should be considered a medium-bodied Malbec. Yeah, is much more up in the almost like heavyweight category. I wouldn't quite put it to the super chewiness of like a petite Syrah, but
He was saying a new petite Syrah, like just an early petite Syrah.
yeah.
Give it the Gouda test.
The magic Gouda.
That's
Thinking of pairing when I put all this stuff together, but it's nice to have. Yeah.
It's the good tannins that we're missing earlier.
Mhm. Yeah, it's got a far,
It's without the bites.
yeah, but I mean, comparatively to the Bonarda, I would say this still has a little bit more acidity to it.
But it's got something like, it's got more well-roundedness, I guess, that like balances that acidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it lingers. Like this has a long finish to it. Like I'm still tasting this 5-10 seconds after.
It's got the tannins, it's got some acid. Wow, it's a round. I mean, really, it hits all the. I'm not getting the impression that there's something I'm looking for that's missing.
Yeah. I still think there's I'm still hoping that there's like, you know, an undertone of baking spice that I'm somehow missing at the moment. But as soon as I actually get something with a little bit of that like cinnamon, that all of a sudden it's going to like just pop to the forefront. But yeah, so let's try with a couple of things, and hopefully someone out there finds a winner.
Jimmy
By,
Cherry.
by itself,
Jimmy
I like
Cherry?
the Malbec.
Jimmy Cherry.
Jimmy Cherry.
By itself, I
Shocking
like the
name.
Malbec, but I'd like the chocolate covered cherries with the Patriota
Under 20.
Very
and the
cool.
Bonarda.
17.
Bonarda.
99.
Shockingly, Richard, the Manchego's gone with everything. I know.
Well,
Who knew? Who knew?
who knew? Except for Richard.
That was $12. Okay.
Yeah, Manchego is like, well, I mean, it is the Swiss Army knife of the wine cheese
That
world.
impresses me for a
Yep.
while. Oh, yeah. I mean,
You know,
not exactly the way.
I don't think there's a wine out there
Yeah. I
that
would say
it
that.
doesn't pair at least averagely well with.
In general.
The chorizo wins again.
Mm.
Excellent combo.
I'll cut up some bell peppers so that I'm not.
I take it, Sarah, that you don't have chimichurri.
I don't. I'm kind of sad. I actually, like, now that you've asked that, it occurs to me that I may have like the spice blend to make it. And I
Ooh.
just completely spaced on the fact that I had it.
Well, you probably have at least 3/4 of a bottle left to try it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got all. But I don't know if I can
I've never thought of.
get up and find it at this
Right.
point. My kitchen's kind of a mess. I just replaced my refrigerator, so things are not where they're
Doing
supposed
it
to.
as a-
I mean, if it's the dried spice blend like I have, it takes about
Yeah.
4 to 6 hours to really reconstitute. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're probably looking at well,
Okay, that makes
guess
sense.
you get to try tomorrow and then post into the event group how well the chimichurri works with your chimichurri works with things.
Fantastic then.
Yeah, I'll have to find that bottle.
It's not good salsa.
Make it so.
Yeah, shockingly, Diego, great.
Any other winners out there, like the leche cookie that I'll never see?
We have a really funky brie, and it really brought out the taste of the rind. It's interesting how it's been through all 4 wines.
Uh-huh.
So the white brought out more of the cheese flavor. This is bringing out much more of the rind funk.
Huh.
It stood up to the salami.
The olives were good as well.
See, and like I was kind of saying, this has a bit more acid to it than the Bonarda. So I would expect that olives with that added salinity would all of a sudden make this taste better.
I went to Argentina when I was 20 for study abroad, and so I was very excited to be able to be drinking wine while I was there because I could do it legally. But one of the vineyards that I visited in Mendoza had olive trees on site, and I made the mistake of eating an olive straight off the tree, and then had to wonder how on earth humans came up with the idea that brining things made them edible. So
It's not brining olives. It's.
Sarah, I think that's same kind of thing about coffee. Like, who looked at coffee beans and said, "Oh yeah, these if we grind them and steep them, then they'll be good." Because if you just eat like a coffee, it's so bitter.
Oh yeah, I ate a roasted coffee bean on the same. Where was it raw? I don't know. I ate a lot of weird things on that trip. I was in Ecuador for that part, but on a coffee farm. But yeah.
Well, wasn't it because like the coca leaves were being used to they would like kind of stuff them in their
chew on them and get
lips
cocaine
like
effects.
chaw?
Yeah.
And,
but I'm just saying, it's one of those things where you're just like, wow, who thought of that? Because
well, I would think that like the practice of seeing the natives stuffing the leaves into their mouth, and all of a sudden getting that like pep in their step, you're like, well, let's see if the actual beans have a much more concentrated amount of whatever that is.
There was a chocolate plantation that was starting in Honduras when I took a tour, and they gave us a raw chocolate thing. And the thing was, you were supposed to chew on the outside, but not chew the inside. You had to spit the inside out because that's what they were planting. So they literally wandered around with, okay, spit.
I love that. That's a little amazing.
Well, before we
You're helping develop the crop.
Before we say goodbye to YouTube, does anyone have any suggestions for our next session?
Have you done Spanish and Portuguese wine?
A few back we did. We did like, I think we did mostly Spanish wines, but then we kind of crossed
Can
the
we do
border over
Italy?
into Vino Verde.
Italy,
Italy, Italy, Italy, Italy.
Always.
Italy.
Okay. This whole thing started with Italy. So, I mean, that's I haven't, especially like Southern Italy, I haven't really done a lot with recently. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we could definitely do some like Falangina and
yes.
I think what we should do is hunt down some 2020 wines from Lodi and Paso.
Italy.
But Corey, we're with you. After that, we'll do 2021s from Lodi. Ooh,
Because
love
that
Lodi
would
wine.
be your-
Have you done Sagrantino?
That was the country.
say that again. Which ones?
Have you done Sagrantino?
Really?
I don't think so.
That was a big, we did a great courses class on Italian wines. That was a big surprise because I'd never heard of it. And the town of Montefalco, I believe, now does Sagrantino and Sagrantino blends that are very interesting in Umbria.
Well, I'll have to keep that on I'll keep an eye out for that and see just how widely dispersed that particular wine is, because maybe it'll make the lineup because I think the last time that we did a Southern Italy, we also included Tuscany, which really isn't that southern of Italy.
Umbria is just south of Tuscany.
Okay, Tuscany is not southern at all.
No, but
Hey, turning over her
but
brain.
considering that we're
Further
kind of
south.
limited to 4 wines, and like northern Italy was like almost all like Piedmont, and then like what was it
We can do a Sicilian wine in your 4 wines.
Or I'll just get it.
yeah
I don't have his address. All I have is.
but yeah, so we'll actually do a 2-parter. We'll do just like what we kind of did before. We'll do a 2-parter of Italy. We'll do Southern Italy, and I'll try to make sure that we're actually doing like Southern Italy, and then we'll do a kind of a Northern Italy again, so that which will probably be a
Rachel's gonna be real judgy. She lived in Naples, so.
that will also be a little bit more pricey. So those of you that are like single,
It's wine I got at Costco.
we're gonna have to we're gonna have to arrange some things, because those will definitely the Northern Italy, especially if you're looking at like Barolos from Piedmont.
Oh, yes.
Those are a little bit more pricey than the around $20 bottle that we've been normally doing. But
Can we play the Godfather in the back for like, in the background for the Sicilian wines,
Excellent idea. You insulted my family.
Joined us last year.
So on that note, everybody wave goodbye to YouTube, and then we will see you all later.